Hey y'all, and welcome to another edition of Dishin with Debbie. And this time we're getting ready for Valentine's Day. And I'm going to be making a cookie that reminds me of something from my childhood. Our local hometown bakery used to make these wonderful buttery shortbread cookies that they put a bright red maraschino cherry right on top. But since it's Valentine's Day, we're going to add the addition of chocolate. You can't have Valentine's without chocolate. So come along with me as we make these cherry kiss cookies. For these cherry kiss cookies, what you're going to need is, of course, some flour. Have a little extra. We'll get to that in a minute. We have some powdered sugar. We have a cup of butter that is unsalted and it's at room temperature, so it'll cream together better. Of course, we have the kisses, the chocolate kisses. We have some almond extract. We have these bright red maraschino cherries. This is not the time to do the fancy ones like you put in your craft cocktails. We want these bright red candy looking things. We have some juice reserved from that, a little salt. Everything with sweet needs some salt. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in our 2 sticks of butter, because to get a cup of butter you need 2 sticks of butter. And then after that we're going to put in our powdered sugar. And what the powdered sugar is going to do is just make it really fluffy and light. I know it's kind of hard to believe with that much butter and sugar it's going to be light. I don't mean light in calories, I just mean light in texture. So here we go. And you can do this with a hand mixer, of course, but I just find this easier so I can get this mixed up and have my hands free. But you're going to love this. After we get this creamed together and mixed all nice and fluffy, we're going to move on to the next step where we start adding the cherries. So now we've been blending this 1 cup of powdered sugar and 1 cup of softened butter together until it's light and fluffy. I will tell you, I had to stop the mixer 1 or 2 times in between and just get it scraped down so it all combined, because the powdered sugar tends to kind of grab to the bowl and not want to get mixed in with the butter. But now it looks wonderful. It's all fluffy. So this is where part 1 of the cherries come in. I took the jar of maraschino cherries, I drained off some of the juice, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon of the maraschino cherry juice to the mix. Not only is that going to give us some really good cherry flavor, it's going to make that color gorgeous. It's going to have that light pink color that we're looking for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to get this mixed up and then we'll move on. Next, we get to use these bright red maraschino cherries we all look forward to. These are the kind that you used to have as a kid on your banana splits, ice cream sundaes. When I was looking for them in the store, I had to hunt all over for these. Sometimes they're with the wine and cocktail fixins and things. This time they weren't. I didn't want the fancy ones. They had moved them. Sometimes they're with the ice cream, but no, this time they were with the canned fruit. So look all over at your store. I didn't ask. I just hunted for them. I'm like that. I just try to find things myself. But anyway, you get these, and one of those jars is just about the right amount. You need a cup of these, and then you're going to take them and just chop them, because these are going to go into the cookies. So we want fairly small little chunks. So we'll just see those bright red little jewels kind of studded throughout our cookies. So I'm just going to continue to do this till they're all chopped up. So I've chopped all my cherries. I have those set aside for later, but now we have our wonderful buttery mixture in here that's gorgeous pink with our powdered sugar, butter, cherry juice. I'm going to start adding the flour. This is 2 cups of flour, and we'll go ahead and add that slowly as we mix. And if I find that it's not quite the right consistency, that it's a little too sticky and needs to be a little more flour for the dough, we're going to have a couple more tablespoons we might add in there. So what I'll do now is I'll just put just a little bit at a time. We'll probably add it in 3 parts. You don't want to add it all in there at once, because it's just easier to mix this way, and you don't want to overdo it so it's tough and everything. So I'll just start slowly doing this so I'm not wearing the flour. So here we go. We have our mixture nice and combined with the flour. I didn't end up having to add any extra flour. You need a Play-Doh consistency that's going to kind of stick together without being too sticky for your hands. My fingers are red with the cherry juice, sorry. But this looks about right. And I have to confess, when we were adding the cherry juice, I was supposed to add the almond extract, and I forgot. So it's a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. You don't need a lot of this because it is pretty potent. So we just add that in, stir that nice and smoothly combined. And, ooh, I can smell it. That's going to give you that familiar taste that you have every time you have something cherry. It just has that little amaretto almond kind of flavor. So now our reserved chopped cherries that we did, these are going to go stir in. I don't do these with a mixer because I don't want them to get too crushed up and kind of bleed into the dough. I want them to stay in these little bits. So it gives you that nice little pop of color. And when you bite into it, you'll taste those cherries. So we'll just get that all mixed up before moving on. Now that the cherries are all combined into the dough, take a little scooper. You can use a tablespoon if you don't have one of these, but this is so handy. This gives me the right amount and assures that they're all going to be about the same size. I will scoop these, roll them into a ball. We have our reserved sugar here. It's a 1/4 cup of sugar. We just roll each one of our little cookies in there, and I'm just putting it on a tray because we're going to have to refrigerate these for about 20 minutes to make sure that they don't spread too much when they're in the oven. And if I put them on the tray in the fridge that I'm baking them on, it would make sense. I forgot to roll. It would make sense and save a step, but then my tray would be really cold putting it into the oven, and I don't really want that. So I'll just transfer these to the baking sheet that's lined with parchment or Silpat, whatever you have. And that way everything is the right temperature when it goes into the oven. So we'll go ahead and just keep rolling all these out, putting them in the sugar, putting them on the tray before we chill them. Yay, we have all of our cookies ready. They have been rolled into balls. They have been rolled into granulated sugar. I got about 25 out of mine. It depends on what size you're making them. You can get more or less. We're shooting for about 24. And so then what we're going to do is put these in the fridge to chill for about 20 minutes so they'll hold their shape when they bake in the oven. Speaking of the oven, I want to go ahead and preheat that now to about 350, so we'll be ready to go when these come out of the fridge. So our dough has been in the fridge chilling for 20 minutes. Our oven's been preheating to 350. We've just taken them out and put them on the baking tray. I had a few that we're going to need to do a second batch. They won't all fit on here. But while they're in the oven baking, I'm going to start to unwrap these little chocolate kisses that'll go on top when we bring them out of the oven. Cookies have come out of the oven, and even though I said 10 minutes, every oven's a little different. I checked mine at 10 and I thought they needed a few more minutes. I went ahead and put them in for 3 more minutes. So it was actually about 13. You just kind of keep an eye on yours and judge what you think is best. So here are our unwrapped kisses that we're going to put in here. So it's going to be a chocolate covered cherry. And I love the smell of these. As soon as I brought them out of the oven, I could smell all that butter. So here, as they're soft, that'll give us a chance to push those down in there. And you'll notice, and I thought it was a little strange too, when I started looking at this recipe, there were no eggs in it, but it's totally working. And it's really timely that we didn't have to use eggs because, as you know, you have to get a second mortgage on your house to be able to afford eggs these days. So it's pretty good that we can do a recipe for Valentine's and not have to worry about the eggs. So I'll just continue doing this. We get these all completed till we have all of our chocolate cherry kiss cookies done, and then we'll put them on our beautiful tray that you can present with a little red bow. And I think any Valentine is going to love these. It's going to knock their socks off. So thanks for watching.